How do we justify adopting an embryo when we have live children that need to be adopted?
Well, let me tell you. I mean, nobody. Well, I won't say nobody, but I because I don't know about other people. But I think you'd find few people who have as high a regard for those who are adopting children out of the foster care system as me, because my own dad was a foster kid, and grew up from the time he bounced around. He was conceived out of wedlock and bounced around orphanages for the first 3 years of his life, and then from the time he was 3 to 13 was, by the grace of God, placed in a good Christian foster home and found stability for the first time in his life. And that family wanted to adopt him and was not able, because his maternal grandmother, when she stopped working, put the claim in on him when he was young, and when she stopped working and he was a teenager, she formally adopted him. But growing up, that foster family was that was always mom and dad to him, and those were always my grandparents and his siblings in that family are to this day the people I consider my aunts and uncles. My grandparents have passed on, so oh my goodness gracious, I see the tremendous good. I've seen it up close that comes from foster care, and it's one of those deals, Andy, where I think you have to be an all of the above type person, and I think God will put different things on different people's hearts, and it's very hard to. I understand what you said. I understand the instinctive reaction, and I think a good point that can come out of this conversation is that so often foster adoption or foster care is the overlooked need. One thing I've heard from people just being in this industry is, well, what you will hear is this assertion that, actually there are more couples waiting to adopt right now than there are kids available. Well, that's a little bit of a myth, because that is true if you are talking about children who are domestically under 2 years old. It is true if you are talking about international adoption, because so many countries are closing their doors. It's not at all true if you're talking about children older than 2 years old who are in the foster system. I think that is a tremendous opportunity to glorify God and to meet the needs of the kids whose needs may not be met by anybody else. So I'm an all of the above type person. Whether you do foster, international, domestic, or embryo, I think you have to work that out with the Spirit. But don't overlook that option. To your point, don't overlook it.
I'm with you there because again, I found myself at times questioning international adoptions over domestic adoptions. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, why would you go to another country to adopt when we have children here who need adopting? And that kind of, again, it kind of put me in a way of thinking that was like, one form or one thing is possibly better than another. And I think that over time and after thoughtful consideration, I feel that I've come to an understanding where there's need in all of these areas, right? We have domestic children who need to be adopted. We have international children who need to be adopted. And we have embryos who need to be adopted.
Yeah.
And not to the exclusion of another.
Well,
right.
I mean, I think if the church got serious about adoption and every form of it, and by the way, I think the church, capital C, is getting more serious about it, and that's a good thing. Then I think God probably will just put different things on different people's hearts, and He will work it out well in all of those forms, and that's
He put the right
great.
person in the right spot for the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, that's it. But I'm go ahead.
Tell me, how can people get a hold of you and learn more about this embryo adoption thing?
Well, the best way is to go to our website, which is embryodonation.org. So embryodonation.org. And again, the name of our organization is the National Embryo Donation Center. So our website is a great place to get started. Many of the questions that folks would have would be answered on there. We explain the process pretty well on there, and contact information is on there if somebody wants to email any of our staff or if they'd like to give us a call. We're always more than willing to talk and be used by God in whatever way He determines.
You all are a nonprofit organization?
We are,
and
yes.
What are you most in need of right now?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. What we're what we're most in need of at this point would be affiliate clinics, because we are running out. I hesitated for a second because we, like most nonprofits, have a multiplicity of needs. But one big one, and this is something people could just pray about, is the need for affiliate clinics. I mean, we're actually running out of storage space at our lab here in Knoxville, and we would really like to develop relationships with affiliate clinics who would hold to our beliefs, at least most of them, because we are a Christian organization. So there are some specifics to our program that speak to that, and we would want to partner with other clinics who would be informed by those same convictions. So Andy, that's a real prayer item for us right now, because I'll tell you, the one thing we're not hurting for are people donating embryos and people wanting to adopt. We're seeing good growth in all of that. Secondarily, we like any nonprofit, we need regular financial supporters, and there's a place on our website where you can go and become a regular supporter. Because we don't get the word out, we don't let people know that this is even a possibility. We don't open the church up to this category of thinking without the ability to produce videos on YouTube and to maintain a website and to visit churches and conferences and to print materials. So when you give to us as a financial contributor, you're giving it to that. You are in an indirect way, and sometimes in a direct way, helping give life to other families. So those are our two main needs right now.
Do you have already any existing affiliate clinics, or is this something new that you're looking to roll out?
We do. We have one in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we have just started within the last few months shipping embryos there. So people who live, it's also more convenient for the people who adopt through us. If you live up in the Midwest, which is where I come from, it's generally going to be easier to go to Milwaukee than it is to drive down to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're in the Chicago area or someplace
Mm-hmm.
like that, Milwaukee's a much quicker trip. So we do have one. We used to have one in my home state of Indiana, in Indianapolis, and the doctor there ended up retiring, so we haven't had that one. But we're hopeful that there may be some other possibilities down the road, because we'd really like to see this organization just grow in impact and be vibrant for decades to come. Hopefully it's going strong, and we're honoring life after I've left this earth.
So for an affiliate clinic, what does that look like? An OBGYN or
Well, it would be a
what?
It's a technical term. It's an RE, a reproductive endocrinologist. So it is a reproductive specialist whose training actually goes a little beyond that of an OBGYN. So that's what's difficult about it, Andy, is you have to have this specialized physician, and you would also need an embryologist, the person who handles the embryos, and that's of course a specialty that requires advanced training. So it's very hard, first of all, just to find. There aren't that many people who do that across the country, and secondarily, it is hard to find those who would sign on to our statement of faith. So it's a real prayer need.